looked for those mad gains. Instead, I guess we're too late. I think I found some, boys, but this can't be right, boys. No! No way! Get your ass back to the ship! We're going! Maybe Elvis ain't dead after all.
This is Radar Command. Prepare for incoming troll attack.
The data, it's all coming so fast. This is off the Richter.
This is Bridge to Command. Reset all coordinates to Pulse Bitcoin.
Where'd you get this new hyperdrive from, mate?
Got it off Dodgy Dave down Spaceport 3. Getting 3 hyperdrives a day out of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Tonight, we are talking everything Pulse Bitcoin, everything ASIC mining token, and Pulse Dogecoin. Yes, you're in the right place.
The stream will commence shortly.
Pulse Bitcoin is fully decentralized. No founder, government, bank, or hacker can shut it down. The code is 100% immutable. Pulse Bitcoin has a limited supply of 21 million and is deflationary, unlike the US dollar.
Hey man, I heard about this Pulse Bitcoin thing, man. It's just really awesome. How the hell do we get some? Give me your website, man. Where do I buy it?
live stream has commenced. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the solution.
How you doing, folks? Fat Sammy here. Hopefully my audio is coming through well. Joined by my long-term buddy, someone you know from the channel, Vin Luck. How you doing?
Good, Sammy. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. I thought we'd do a little bit of a live stream, and this one's not going to be like as tight, crypto related as we usually do. A lot has changed for me in the recent weeks. Had a complete lifestyle change of family situation, change of location, you know, just change of life.
Dude, I want to be where you are right now, man.
You know, and with every dark cloud, there is a silver lining. I thought we'd name today's stream just checking in with the community of, you know, how everyone's doing, you know, mentally, how you're doing. And I think it's kind of interesting because obviously crypto right now is really struggling. I think we're just going through a bit of a downturn today after the FOMC meeting with Kevin Walsh. So I thought we'd have a little chat about obviously this is a lot of us holds a lot of Hex and a lot of PulseChain assets. Obviously this is a Pulse Bitcoin channel as well, so we thought we'd talk a bit about that.
Sure.
And just kind of get an update, a temperature check on how everyone's feeling, because obviously the timeline is extremely quiet. I'm not sure about you, Kevin, but when I've been checking out my timeline, my crypto Twitter, it's all full of other stuff right now. I'm noticing that there's almost barely any crypto, especially the Hexagons are very quiet recently, and I think we know why. I think that's obvious, but maybe we can break that down or why that is.
Skip the altcoin season.
Yeah, give us your updates, Kevin.
I mean, we see.
We're going to talk a little bit about XRP Vault as well, which obviously we are both founding team members of. So everyone's obviously wondering about that. So yeah, I'll give the floor to you, Kevin.
So you know, we kind of missed the alt season this time around, didn't we? Kind of just didn't happen, you know. I think everyone is, you know, kind of reevaluated their life and realized that, you know, everyone thinks something's going to happen, usually doesn't. Realize that, you know, you wind up in situations you never thought you'd be in. It happens. It is what it is. The market's definitely changed, I think, since institutions have been adopting blockchain. One of the things I always kind of said was the markets aren't going to be able to, you know, handle the blockchain downturns. But, you know, we also really have talked a lot about how the AI world is going to really just kind of come to light. And that's what's happened, you know, and me, myself included, have missed a lot of the opportunity in the actual stock market with AI businesses and stuff. And that's been frustrating.
That a second. I mean, I think a lot of people, I think a lot of us in PulseChain, a lot of us in altcoins, right? We were dogs are wild over there.
Yeah, a little something.
But I think a lot of us in the altcoin space, I think we're almost too smart for our own good sometimes, right? We've seen what's coming and we've almost front run, right? So I think there's sometimes being too early where you see an emerging market, you see an emerging opportunity, which I think our community did. And what we've done is we've bought early, and obviously PulseChain was floated at a too high a market cap than it was probably worth. So a lot of us are underwater on that. And I think a lot of us also buying ETH, expecting that traditional bull market, were quite surprised by the fact that all the traditional things we expect for ETH to go on and make all-time highs never really happened. So I think a lot of us did get trapped, right? And I wouldn't say that we're wrong, but I would say our timing was wrong, right?
Yeah,
So,
the adoption cycle is very, very difficult. You know, you're going to have the institutions suppressing while they're adopting, and that's what we're seeing. Frankly, you know, we're seeing a lot of suppression, a lot of manipulation, a lot of utilization, but at the same time, you know, you're not getting that massive move. Well, look at the reason. I mean, at the end of the day, they know where it's all going in the future. So why would they just let it go now when they just started adopting and started using? You know, you got Tom Lee's down big. Everyone's down big.
I mean, Tom Lee, right? A lot of us followed that Tom Lee position, and I don't know how many millions he spent, but he's probably the most underwater early adopter, you know, that we've ever seen, right?
It's okay.
How do you think he's feeling?
So, I mean, you know, he's probably confident in his position because he knows what's going in the future. It sucks to be down like that. But at the end of the day, you know, there was a time when everyone was down 80, 90% in Bitcoin in the you know, in 2015, 2016 and whatever. Jesus, I had $250,000 in Bitcoin at 500. I mean, I was using it in a different way. I was actually utilizing it and moving money, and it was just, you know, God, was that a mistake to even just sell any of it? So, you know, I've suffered that pretty badly. I remember I found Stellar XLM when it had like 7 zeros. I was like, what is this? You know, oh my God, talk about regrets of not, you know, just putting in something, right? Like it can be really, really frustrating. And then, you know, last year I'm sitting there telling you how we're going to have this massive AI explosion. It's all going to come, this massive AI move. But where the massive AI move wound up happening is in the real businesses of AI, is stock market, didn't it? In the stock market, right? So you got stocks that are up, you know, 10, 20x. You know, when I'm making that call saying, hey, this is where it's going to be. This is what's going to happen from a macro level. And, you know, here we are kind of, you know, I mean, I got some good positions and stuff, but it's nothing that it really should have been. And obviously it's not really even kind of hindsight because, you know, we've been talking about it, you know? So, you know, it is what it is. I think, you know, when it comes to this turn, looks like Bitcoin, if you look at the market cycles and the timing, right, of the top at 126,000 was in the time frame of when it should have topped.
Yeah, and it was certainly in the time frame of the 4-year cycle, wasn't it? Now the question
how did it change? Right,
is whether we wait till October before we start going up, or we see a little bit of a move before that. Now, it was interesting. I think Benjamin Cowan was saying that he believes, and he's someone that's been, you know, very 4-year cycle, you know, based, and even if he follows the 4-year cycle, which is more and more likely to be coming true right now, even though I still disagree with it. But even if I'm wrong, even the 4-year cycle bros, what did we see last time? Well, we saw Ethereum bottom way before Bitcoin bottomed, and I think even the 4-year cycle guys like Benjamin Cowan, they're saying Ethereum might bottom in June. Now, we just had a bit of a dump today after not necessarily a bearish FOMC meeting, but I think a lot of people, you know, the market actually speculated on Polymarket that yes, there'd be no interest rate drop. That was costed in. But I think people were expecting maybe with the Iran deal, some sort of idea that perhaps there would be some sort of verbal speculation between a future you know, interest rate drop, and that didn't really happen. So I think the market didn't react instantly, but it seems to be dropping off today. And again, now we're seeing Ethereum, after such an aggressive move up last week, we're seeing it now revisit after doing a double bottom, we're seeing it now revisit the 1600 region. So for me, I personally see that as an opportunity to buy some more. I mean, if you're like me, you have some cash, you have some USD coming into your wallet, then for me it's a perfect opportunity to be DCAing. I've been collecting some Sol, I've been collecting some Sui, because Sui is, what's interesting about Sui is that one was born around the same time as PulseChain. Obviously done a lot better, There's some AI tokens that have done really well. So for me right now, I'm kind of scooping. I'm cautiously scooping, but what I'm not doing is I'm not leveraging. You know, buying
that
spots.
would be a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize. I was watching Crypto 7 today, who I stream with every Monday, and he was saying that I knew Kevin Walsh, the new Fed chair, had some crypto, but apparently he's got $100 million in Sol. You know, so it's very bullish that number one, Trump likes him. Number two, the guy's bullish on crypto. Sorry if there's some background noise here. I'll pass it to Kevin.
It's all right. Yeah, I mean, I think all in all, he's going to be, positive for crypto. At the end of the day, the market's going to do what they want it to do, right? So I think we're not ready yet for it. I think we've got some downward movement to go still. I am a believer that we're going to be seeing a bottom in Bitcoin here shortly, and it's going to, the same time frame cycles are going to play out like it played out when it hit 15,000 and change a few years ago. And then basically went sideways to slow up 20%, on an incline.
Okay, so
nothing crazy.
Hitting maybe $1,500.
Sure, why not?
And then adjusting to the 4-year cycle.
Yeah, we'll see. So listen, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Like, remember last year when I was building Spyglass, I was building a basically.
Tell people about that, because obviously people don't know you. Obviously, you are an early Pulse Bitcoiner, an early Pulse chainer. I believe you're a hexagon before Pulse chain. Is that correct?
Well, not from the very beginning, no.
Right, but you've been in this space, and then you started building, right? You started building recently. Tell people a little bit about that. And then
so AI started to come out. AI last year, 2 years ago, started to really, all of a sudden there's this thing called Grok, and all of a sudden we're realizing what AI can actually do, and things were changing. So one of the things I wanted to do was create a prediction engine based on a lot of different factors, from isometric projections to all kinds of mirror history theory and different things that actually do come true, that are documented. If you remember, and I still have it, I was looking at it the other day. I had finished a lot of it, and we predicted in the springtime major war in the Middle East, in Iran, and everything that basically happened. It kind of was. I got it in a PDF, right? So we're looking at this massive geopolitical risk factor that's been going on, and I think that's something that, for all intents and purposes, have kind of stifled the market on Bitcoin, because I think you're looking at, on crypto in general.
Well, why do you think it stifled crypto as opposed to stocks?
Right. So it's not. So crypto market is not as validated, let's just say, as the stock market is, with earnings and business revenue, right? There are certainly companies that make money, and but it's not recorded in the same way. The metrics, I don't think, are there, right? It's looked at as more of a speculative bubble, or a speculative sector than anything, and real money, big money, institutional,
right?
Absolutely, full on risk on, fully risk on, assets. So when you say to yourself, all right, what happens in times of war? Stock market goes up. What happens in times of shift expansion?
I thought the traditional position were, during times of war, the stock market would go down and things like gold would go up, right?
It depends on how bad the war or the quote unquote conflict is. But if you pull the history, you'll see that there's an initial dip, and then there's a massive run, because they're printing huge money. So the money printer go burr.
Into a war economy, right?
Absolutely. So they're debasing the dollar, and they make everything just take off. But we certainly didn't see it to a huge degree.
Is that mainly to feed the weapons factories? Is that, or is it not as simple as that?
To feed the whole economy, to feed everything, to feed the whole entire system, right? Trump, invoked the National Security Act, whatever. The manufacturers now, potentially can focus on weapons and defense contracting, which I've been doing for the last 6 months secretly. Yep. And wow, is that thing huge? And at the day though, crypto in general is just a risk-on asset, our asset sector. So what's happened, right? When we were talking about it last year, and I'm saying, listen, we're going to have this major AI explosion, right? We've had it, and it was bigger than I, even thought. Now, one of the things that we also talked about was potentially taking jobs and this and that. That's going to happen later on. There's definitely something to be said still about how AI is going to take over the job market. And the reason why that's going to take longer than people actually think is because the adoption of it is very difficult. It's very, very smart. And you think, all right, well, you got these engineers that are just going to start adopting this and using it, but they're using it inefficiently. So they've been spending probably too much money. There's pluses and minuses to it all. And at the end of the day, it seems like companies aren't just going to start firing explicitly, but they have been. They've been laying off. There's been a lot of layoffs. Yeah. A lot of layoffs. But then what happens is the finance managers, the money managers, and the analysts see it as a positive to the balance sheet. And then everything gets consolidated to the top. So that's why you're seeing the indexes just absolutely hit new highs and explode. And in the stock market, because you're gonna see this, you're seeing this massive push for money, and that's being, that's a big speculative bubble. Now, listen, some of the smartest money in the world, from Warren Buffett on down, has said, we're seeing this all over again. Let's start selling. You've got don't touch that, Java. That was a massive B. Holy cow! You got a massive valuations in SpaceX now. You've got Anthropic, which is losing money with a massive valuation, which looks like listen, I was a stockbroker in 1999 when Amazon was losing $5 a share, trading at $500. I've talked about this with you many times. It eventually blew up and went to 10, right? And what ultimately happened is the business, got their feet, right? They found their legs in their business expansion models. And eventually over the next 3, 4, and 5 years, that $10, next thing you know, it's $100. Next thing you know, now Amazon's done, a 50x. And that's in the stock market, not in crypto. So, and that's while they're, inflating and issuing more shares and doing all these things and splitting and everything else. And everyone's selling and everyone's got their estate selling plans. And it's still up some massive 100x number since that bottom. And I think we're still in the ripe for something like that to happen. I think it's the same cycle is going to happen again. You're going to get this massive internet bubble that we're seeing, and you're going to see these companies with their overinflated valuations just get absolutely pummeled because of something else, right? It could be just the bubbles bursting. It could be that's it. But I think there's going to be news that's going to come out, maybe bad news, maybe news like, they're not using AI as much as they were because the engineers are not using it right, and they're spending too much money, more than their salaries and things like that, right? And it's not efficient. And you're probably going to hear something like that, which we've already been hearing. But they'll
on that point quickly, just break that down.
Yeah,
unpack some of that. So obviously, I was sharing some of the data. I think you shared it with me as well about 6 months ago. And I think you're the one that told me this, that when we were looking at Ethereum network, for example, we were seeing around 10% or 8% being used by AI agents, and that was expected due to the AI itself telling us that traffic was going to expand to eventually be 90% within 12 months of Ethereum usage traffic, essentially being AI agents. And I don't think the growth model has actually reflected that.
You're right.
By AI agents using the blockchain as much as we expect.
Right. And I think that it's being used in, regular business, less, quote unquote, regular business, right? Not necessarily tied to the blockchain. So that's where you're getting probably that downfall of that.
Yeah.
It didn't make the big AI run in crypto and blockchain and crypto that we were kind of hoping for. And that I guess makes sense, right? It makes total sense. There's a lot of companies that are utilizing blockchain, but it doesn't mean it's going to explode. It's a stock, it's in the stock market.
Also, obviously, the issue also obviously tying into Vitalik's bad leadership with lowering fees so much and expanding so much that Ethereum doesn't really benefit from in terms of price. And Richard Hart talks a lot about this, right? Even though kind of Ethereum has grown to its network to allow much more traffic in layman's terms, and become cheaper and more efficient by expanding with all these secondary blockchains that allow people to transact on it like Base. Because of those cheap fees, there's no reason for them to pay and expand the price of the holders of Ethereum, right?
Not only that, it defeats the whole purpose of PulseChain. If you think about it, one of the big things Richard Hart always said was, look, high fees, all gas, all this stuff.
Yeah. Now
they don't got to worry about it anymore. But, at the end of the day, you forked Ethereum, and, there was the value there that was based on the perceived notion of what the people that were building on it could build, and it's going to take a long time for projects to adopt a chain like that, and then especially when the Ethereum fees are coming down and Ethereum is already established, and Richard Hart's got his, they just did a whole entire attack matrix.
Let's jump into PulseChain, but before we do that, I want you to quickly touch on something else I want to discuss on this stream. Sorry, I'm walking up a very steep hill, so I'm out of breath, but I want to touch on the IPO for SpaceX. Now, obviously, that was huge, right? So there's so much money moving out of crypto and other assets into getting a stakehold in that. And obviously, I think it went up 26% in its first few days trading. Last I heard, it was down a little bit. And what a lot of people don't realize is retail's FOMOing in, right?
Sure.
And they don't realize that 20% of people that got in early is going to be unlocked soon, right? So that could be a massive catalyst for retail to get wrecked. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think SpaceX is going to go lower than its IPO price. You'll be able to get, I think, where you want to buy SpaceX is under 100. I don't know where that exact number is going to be, but it was a 135 of an IPO price, or an opening for that matter. I think we can look and see where some secondaries were, and see what that number equates to. I would think somewhere between 85 and 100 on some kind of correction that won't be there for that long. But I think that's where you can start. That's the accumulation, heavily accumulating of a SpaceX. And here's another thing. People are saying, oh, valuations and it's, it only does this in revenue, but then they compare it to like Walmart and what the revenue is, which is moronic, completely different kind of company, has nothing to do with each other. At the end of the day, high PE stocks will always be high PE stocks, and they'll make their runs, while the value investors are saying, oh, compare it to this and that.
Kevin, just so you know, if I dip out, please keep talking, because I'm just going up a dodgy area.
Okay. You do get a little frozen every now and then.
Yeah, keep talking. I'll be at the top of the hill soon.
So when you're looking at what SpaceX is, you have to look at what it really is and compare it to its peers, not compare it to other companies that are just doing more revenue or make a tremendous strides in space exploration. There's already a massive set of companies that will benefit, that are, picks and shovels, right, to the space race. And I think that's what we've entered here during the SpaceX IPO. is the space race.
You saw a lot of front running of these supportive space related companies. Like you showed me some of them last week, and some of these companies that we're kind of going to be doing business with.
Those are great companies.
But they've already gone up 10x. So obviously there's going to be some sort of pullback with those supporting companies as well, right? And the question is, where does that money go after we have a correction?
Big money, very smart money that says that the market cap of SpaceX can go to 50 trillion. And that's just the market cap number is a perceived number based on, you know, people's perception of reality. So if you're talking about going to the moon and driving, you know, doing all what they're going to be doing, moon base and all this other stuff, it's going to command this massive market cap valuation that people won't understand and be scared of. But let me tell you something, that's what's going to happen. So SpaceX will go to a $50 trillion market cap, and there's going to be other companies that will follow its lead and that will start to now see trillions in the market caps like we've already seen in NVIDIA and others, but they're going to get expanded even more. And the space race is actually, I think, a main input as to how that economic curve is now shifting, a complete shift in the curve. And that's when things just completely change. So I think the space race just started. I think that there's a huge list that anyone can find, just ask Grok, of, you know, good companies that'll benefit from the space race, and start just dollar cost averaging. Just buy on dips, look at your 1 hour, 4 hour chart, whatever, look when they're oversold, and just start buying some and put them away, you know, just put them away. Do what you're doing. Just don't miss that opportunity, because I think this first run that we just had, I think it was just the taste of what's about to come. I actually think this is a very, very beginning. This is literally this is maybe the first inning of the space race.
I just want to quickly say to the 45 people watching right now, I apologize. My live comments are not showing today. So we're not ignoring you. We just can't see them. So apologies for that. Kevin, what's obviously, I want to now move on to the Iran deal, which has just been, well, we can talk a little bit about that. Obviously, that's been a big thing in the markets. On Monday, we saw the markets kind of pump due to that memorandum of agreement being signed.
Right.
Now,
MOUs are meant to be broken.
Yes, and we see, so basically what we see is it's very bullish at the start, but it basically means a continuation of the temporary peace, right? But obviously the markets reacted today quite badly, and the reason for that is I've seen the vice president start to talk about basically kind of some stuff where he's almost saying, well, you know, this will only hold if Iran does the right thing. So I think now the market is now seeing it as less stable than what they perceived it as. Is that correct?
Sure. Yeah. And everybody knows at the end of the day, I don't think we can trust the IRGC. So I think that as long as they are still going to be in power, the door is going to be open and continue to be open for the conflict to continue. I didn't ever think that this was going to be a short conflict. I happen to be, so I know a lot about the defense sector. I know a lot of what's going on and where things are going. And you think, you know, Trump says no more wars, and I got to tell you something. He's been talking about attacking Iran for 40 years. Just take their oil. He said to Barbara Walters in 1982, I think it was, or something like that. So at the end of the day, what he's done, he's very smart, whether you like him or not, it doesn't matter. What he did was he did a massive setup for no more wars. He stopped 8 wars. He stopped all of those wars from happening, whether he set them up to happen so he can stop them. You know, obviously some, you know, people might think that. And at the end of the day, it's really, I think this is something that's going to be playing out for quite some time. I don't think this is going away. And because I'm now in the defense sector also, and I see what's happening and I'm hearing what's going on and what we're developing and why and what the reaction is from the people that are connected to those big agencies that are seeing what I'm doing personally and what other people are doing. And I can just tell you that that we're going to just see more of the same, and there's going to be a back and forth of it.
I think what's happening as well is something that's not spoken about. I want to mention 2 points. First point related to the defense industry. Obviously, that's been very bullish for people in the last few years, and obviously we're seeing military factories expand now in Europe, the UK. We're seeing that a lot in the US right now. But a lot of things people aren't aware of, and I saw Secretary Hegseth talk about the Minister of War for the USA in an interview the other night, saying, and obviously you have the anti-air missile capability, and there's only so many they can produce per year, and that has been largely exhausted. So they're down to almost bare bones now of what they can actually use to defend their bases in the Middle East. And a lot of the US bases in the Middle East now almost have had to be evacuated because they can't defend them. So that's a major issue right now.
The timeline is 2029 when we can have a full supply of Patriot missiles again.
Yes. So I think the administration has not been very honest with the American people about that, and I think a lot of people see through that. The second point I'd like to mention is basically the fact that the US, so this, part of this deal is a $300 billion reconstruction agreement, which is going to be paid to Iran. Now, the president, Donald Trump, came out yesterday or today saying, oh no, we're not paying a penny of that. Now, the reason he's saying that is obviously because, number one, he has to save face. Number two is he's saying, oh, well, you know, that's not money that the US is going to have to pay. That is, you know, that's not the US tax dollars coming. That's just money we froze before that's been sitting there and sending it back. And an interesting point about that is part of the reason the US, or part of one of the contributing factors of the US and the UK for so long now, having kind of blacklisted and frozen their enemies' assets, has also now had the counter effect of driving so many countries to BRICS and to alternate payment systems. So even he said the other day, if you want to keep the hegemony of the US dollar and the Western finance system, then you have to start paying back this money. Otherwise, all your enemies and all your intermediaries just won't trust the system. They'll be like, as soon as we fall out of favor with the US or the UK, then they're going to freeze our assets. So it's not a stable place to keep our money. So I think there's a lot of, I think those two factors are probably the biggest factors right now why the US is coming to the table. You know, they can't keep the anti-air up, and they can't rescue the US dollar based on that.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. It's going to be all the Tomahawks, the Patriots, all the main missiles. You're looking 2029, 2030 before we start to get a decent, you know, size replenishment.
And
I saw that coming.
Why do those missiles take so long to produce? I was surprised, but how small the output is. Is that due to the factories, or is that due to rare minerals or the engineering supplies?
I think it's all of the above. I think that time frame is probably a little too long. I think that time frame is based on the past, based on what the previous administration was doing. I think Trump has been very, very adamant and very, very clear about you need to make these things now. So I think we'll probably see that time frame come back faster, to be faster and shorter. I still know though that there's a really important depletion of them, and that's going to cause an issue. I saw that. I mean, you know, kind of, you know, it's good for what else I'm doing, you know, in the drone sector. So I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Now, a lot of what's going on and what we're seeing with this also is, remember, it's Trump's birthday. It's a 250-year anniversary of the United States of America from the Declaration of Independence. And from, you know, people have arguments to say, well, it became a company in 1871, I think it was, and this and that, and, you know, all the stuff that we...
You're talking about the US becoming a corporation.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot like the Promethean Action women talk about, really the deep state is in the city of London, and he's been dismantling it systematically away from America and taking back our country.
Let's give people a brief overview of what we're talking about there. So you can check out Promethean Action, which is what he's referring to. And a lot of people aren't aware of this. But basically, to give a brief summary of what Kevin's talking about here, is that a lot of people who watch the news assume that the US and the UK are allies. and they are to a certain extent on the face value, but really they're essentially at war at the moment. The old way of doing things is being challenged now. When the Democrats lost power, they had a traditional alliance with the old banking elite in the UK. And when President Trump came to power, he was kind of cut out a lot of funding. So his hands were tied of what he could do when he came to power. Now he's had to seek additional funding to elsewhere. And one of the things he's doing with the Clarity Act, with the Genius Act, is he's circumnavigated a way to raise funds without going through the traditional Wall Street system. So we can talk a little bit about that. And I think that leads us on to the Clarity Act issue, which I also want to discuss, which now there's rumors that President Trump wants to try and get that through July 4th. Whether that happens is statistically quite low. But what a lot of people don't realize is with the Clarity Act, what that does is, with part of Trump's plan, removing the power away from the City of London and Europe Central Bank, the IMF, and actually printing dollars, is the fact that he has to address the US national debt. And by the Clarity Act going through, any single company now producing dollars, printing stable coins, essentially has to buy up government bonds, which decreases the national debt.
Right. And what's going to happen is every company is going to issue their own stablecoin. You're going to have an Apple stablecoin. Yes. You're going to have every Microsoft stablecoin. Facebook is going to have a stablecoin. I've said, you know, when I started saying this about 7 years ago. About 7 years ago, I said every single major company is going to have their own stablecoin. Yeah. And now you have banks creating their own stablecoins. So in America, there's a lot of credit unions that are creating their own stablecoin. There are companies that are doing that, right? XPR network is on now doing that. Whatchamacallit, Meticulous company is if you go to their website, you'll see all of those companies, all those banks. They're all credit unions that are basically
and this also could be an example where we see more money move into Tether, more money move into stablecoin. So when we're looking at stablecoin dominance charts, and traditionally looking at, when we traditionally look at USDT dominance, for example, we directly correlate that with how well crypto is doing. But I think now this is huge inflation in that area. We're going to see USDT stable dominance increase, right? So we see more stable coins printed, sitting on the blockchain, but then not necessarily see a rise in price, and that might confuse people, right?
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. This is where we are, and this is how much money is coming into the system. But people might not want to speculate. They might just use it as a form of payment. They might just use it as a form of payment instead of investing in blockchain companies or crypto companies. Look, at the end of the day, do your own research, right? Don't just close your eyes. I am recorded with you saying, I think
I'm losing you here. I'm not sure if everyone else can hear you, but I can't.
There's no utility to it, and I think. I think that we're talking about. I think utilities is where everything is. I think the whole entire reason why you're going to have blockchain explode is because utility is going to be finally understood.
Right.
Right. So, which can
you're back now. I did lose you for a second. You're back now.
I was saying so basically. I'm recorded as saying I think meme coins are going to go away, right? What's the social value of a meme coin? Well, who knows, right? It's the value of it's a Metcalfe's law number. The amount of people using the network squared is the market cap kind of thing. Who knows? But at the end of the day, is Solana going to go to $1? Probably not. But I'll tell you what, it's certainly going to be impacted negatively if meme coins all of a sudden stop going away. And another big reason why crypto hasn't really moved is there's too many coins that have been printed and too much faith has been lost. Anyone and their brother can just print out a meme coin and pump it and people losing money, and it's just bullshit. So I mean, I think when we see the true adoption scale come is when the market figures out the utility case behind what crypto and blockchain is good for. And that could be another segue into what else we're doing. But I mean, at the end of the day, you've got utility, you've got store of wealth, and you've got, functional uses, right? Functional utility use.
Yeah.
So that's why Ethereum is so good, because it's so many projects, financial projects, have basically wrapped themselves around Ethereum and use it as gas and use it as a utility coin. I think we've got a lot I think it's just begun. I think, then we had this whole entire RW, this real world asset tokenization kind of thing happen. But you know why that stopped? You know why everyone is not talking about it anymore? Because AI. Yeah. Right. Because so everyone.
I think again, I think we as crypto users in this space, and again, I want to touch on the XRP Vault based on this, because people know me in my profile being the marketing director of XRP Vault, you being the founder. I think a lot of people have kind of wondered, oh, Sammy,
what's going on?
We're seeing you talk about Ethereum, we're seeing you talk about PulseChain, we're seeing you talk about that.
Sure.
Why you're not talking about XRP Vault? And do you want to give a quick update on that? Because
sure.
We do have an update for everyone on that.
So here's what's going on. And for those that have kind of on our Telegram chat, they already know.
Give a brief overview of what XRP Vault is for people that are watching.
Right. So XRP Vault basically is the tokenization of assets. But what's special about it is it's based on the XRP ledger, which is basically a money rail, payment rail. So it mitigates risk. That's number one. Number two is I've created a patented algorithm that basically alleviates the Howey test issues and creates a utility from a security. So it's a platform. It's an underwriting platform for private equity for institutions. And what's going on is about a year ago, I started building it about a year ago, a little bit less. And I knew that with AI, where AI was going, that I was going to start to build an autonomous AI agent system. So I started to basically build up the framework, right? And in February, and I was there, we've got 30 agents, we've got a whole entire marketing department, we've got a compliance team, I've got a CRM, I've got a tool, I've got an institutional tech stack that's compliant for banks to use. I've got everything, right? Everything, okay? It's got a $250-something million market valuation based on Wall Street metrics, standard Wall Street metrics. Even though no one's using it, that's what the value is based on what I built. So February comes around, all of a sudden there's this thing called claw code. All of a sudden, agents become agentic. All of a sudden, they become alive. All of a sudden, things start to grow at leaps and bounds, lightning speed. So I said, okay, I'm going to pause. I want to see where this all lands. Because if I build this and launch this with the wrong framework, and I can probably just, plug into the best frameworks that are out there that have a lot more money than I do, and I'm certainly not rich, that can actually build highly compliant agentic frameworks that we can use in specific parts of the XRP Vault. So that's what I decided to do. So I took some time, because my focus was shifting into the defense sector and what I'm doing there. So I took some time to see how AI plays out, and I think we're there. I did an update. I changed a little bit. There's now a SaaS profile on there, which we're going to offer and allow for the white labeling of the Howey conversion model, the conversion engine. So we're going to white label it.
Which traditional finance can use as a service now.
So they can go through, a traditional finance company or underwriting or private equity firm can go through their 60 90 days of due diligence. They can spend, sorry, I'm declining my wife's call. They can spend They can spend, you know, tens of thousands of dollars per deal. Companies that want to do it can spend huge. We all know how much underwriting costs, hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So ultimately, what I've created is a system where, you know, either companies or PE firms or lawyers or anybody that's compliant and institutionally compliant can actually now just plug in and get into the SaaS contract, or they can actually white label it for their own business, for their own clients. So there's going to be a lot of more revenue generated than I thought.
For raising funds, raising funds.
Yeah, and you can use the platform to raise funds. So when you have a utility token and you've raised funds, you do it on the platform, and you've got those utility tokens that are sellable. You know, based on the liquidity provided, which they have to provide liquidity when they do it. So it looks like the platform itself is going to generate a lot more revenue than I thought it was going to, which is obviously a good thing. And I'm just being very cautious now because of the market conditions. And I think that we're in for a stock market correction. I think Bitcoin and the blockchain markets are gonna pull back. But again, we've also talked about the political cycle and how that affects everything. You know, we've got to have things good for politics come November, because it's a very important midterm elections in America. So that's critical. You know, there's a lot that plays into it, and I have no problem waiting to make sure that we launch at the right time. I've set it now for the end of September. So, you know, if we launch the token and launch mainnet, then that's fine. Or if we have to wait till next year, I did do an update on the agentic pathways within the vault itself. So that's being done today, and it was done yesterday, and I'll finish it.
What's the website for people?
xrpvault.org.
xrpvault.org. So go check it out if you want to learn a little bit about it. It's going to be a good opportunity. We're going to kind of run this down now. I think we covered a lot today. We didn't really cover much PulseChain news. I think I'm going to do that in the next stream. We'll kind of dive into that a little bit more. But I think we've done a good job today. Just kind of, and please comment your opinions about how you feel in the market. Any questions you might have, because we haven't had any live questions today. So I thought it'd be useful to go live today to kind of touch base with you all.
Absolutely.
Kevin's opinion on the market. And basically just say, yeah, we're still here. We're still building. You know, we've gone nowhere.
I haven't stopped.
Readjusting. Yeah.
Hey, listen, I got to run, man. It's good talking to you.
Yep. Good.
I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Thanks very much, Kevin. Right. Should just be me now. Let me quickly check. Yeah, I'm really sorry, guys. I can't see your comments. But yeah, it's been a great stream. Hopefully there's some stuff you can take away. I know it's been a bit complex, some very technical for some of you guys. I know some of you have tuned in, my opinion on PulseChain, Hex. I'll be honest with you, the reason I haven't done that today is because I have moved to France, and you know, it's like when you're moving, you just don't have the time to really, I don't want to kind of come in and give some half-assed opinions on what's been going on with PulseChain, what's been going on with Hex, because, well, I've only checked the charts a few times. I don't really know. But what we can tell you is that ETH is taking a bit of a pullback based on what's happened with the FOMC meeting, based on the wobbliness of this new Iran deal. And yes, for me and my friends, we're using it as a huge opportunity to accumulate more Ethereum, because we're very bullish on Ethereum as a whole. With Pulse Bitcoin, the Ethereum guys, if you notice now, EASIC, which is the mining token for Pulse Bitcoin, has now gone up to 1 million market cap again, sitting around 15 cents a token. And we've now paired it with our new favorite token outside of PulseChain, which is DEXT, that's Dex Screener. Now, a lot of you are familiar with, Dex Tools. A lot of you are familiar with Dex Screener, but Dex Tools is almost the equivalent of Dex Screener. It's got millions of users every day, far more detailed tools for people that are more technical in DeFi projects. And they've basically been going sideways against ETH now for months, almost maybe even a few years. So we see a massive opportunity for a multi-year swing trade there. So we've been buying up think we've got around $100,000 of that token at the moment. We do want to get to holding around 2 million of their tokens. They're sitting around 10 cents to 12 cents at the moment. And yeah, so we've created huge liquidity with ASIC. We are planning to increase the DEX screener token. A lot of our institutional investors are going to be buying that up. So we're going to throw more liquidity, up to $200,000 of liquidity. At the moment, we have decent liquidity, but we're going to pump that up to around $200,000 over the next few weeks. And we're going to start pumping huge amounts of volume through that. So anyone that owns eASIC is going to be able to benefit from the price increase of DEX tools. We think it's a really undervalued project with a real utility. And maybe we'll start doing some streaming with those guys soon. With the PulseChain side, Pulse Bitcoin is doing very well after its massive climb up against the price of PLS. It's holding really well. And we expect that as soon as PulseChain has stopped kind of dumping, Pulse Bitcoin has been holding very well. We think it has a really unique and beautiful narrative for that chain. Basically, Bitcoin is a smart contract on PulseChain with very limited supply. We're almost, I think we're around 46% through the current halving, which I think is halving 4, so it's the 5th halving. There's an extremely low amount of tokens now available. We've seen some new, oh, I think we've got a comment here. Comment's working again. No, they're not. Sorry about that. But yeah, we're seeing some new liquidity pools pop up. Obviously, we had a huge amount of liquidity added to the Pulse Bitcoin PLS pair. That's sitting comfortably now. We've seen a huge increase in new pairs like Peacock, ProveX. We've seen a new pool open up for $5,000 with a PDAI. So obviously some PDAI guys. I've noticed some of you PDAI guys have actually started to accumulate Pulse Bitcoin, which is nice. So yeah, I really do believe when PulseChain pumped the other day, we pumped harder than pretty much all the other altcoins that are our market cap or larger. So this is where scarcity meets a better network. So I think Pulse Bitcoin is going to do really well on both chains. And obviously we have something really exciting coming up in July. We're basically forking a contract where you're going to be able to farm. So at the moment you can farm with your Pulse Bitcoin via emit.farm. There's a lot of value TVL locked up there where people are basically providing liquidity and earning massive amount of fees. But at the moment they're kind of oversaturated. So we need to offer our market participants a new place to farm with high APRs. So we do have a new project launching, and I'll be directly involved with that with DeFi Nation and the founder of Emit, Kairos. And we're going to offer Bitcoin rewards, so direct wrapped Bitcoin rewards. So very exciting. I think we're going to see, and also there's going to be a buy and burn on ASIC. So ASIC is going to be the biggest winner on this. It's hugely undervalued. People have been selling off to buy Pulse Bitcoin because they're saying, oh, well, every halving we go through, I'm getting less and less monthly Bitcoin reward. So I might as well sell off my ASIC and buy up Pulse Bitcoin. But we really see a massive, we don't see a future where Pulse Bitcoin does really well and ASIC just gets forgotten about, because part of the selling point of Pulse Bitcoin is the fact, you know, better than wrapped or, you know, P wrapped BTC is the fact that you can mine with it, you can farm with it, you can do all this fun stuff, you can dual mine. So I think in the future you're going to see more tokens mineable with ASIC. You're going to see more of it burnt off. You're going to see more utility with it. And we see it essential to have a strong ASIC token as the price of Pulse Bitcoin goes up. Yeah, I'm so sorry I can't see your comments today. But yeah, it's pretty dead on chain anyway. So let's play a little advert and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Newest build. $982 watts. Got these custom rigs being built at 240, 232 mega hash.
So 29 and change.
Got a lot more to go. See, as you can see, we're putting more together here. Here I am in 2018 setting up crypto mining facilities. I'm sure our clients make great profit if they held their coins. Fast forward a few years, Bitcoin mining is simply not profitable to continue. Over time, the difficulty increases. It's a huge waste of resources. Energy costs increase. It requires massive overhead with upkeep, and it's harmful to our environment. A much needed innovation has emerged, and it's called Pulse Bitcoin. It's faster, has a limited supply of 21 million coins, has better price appreciation, and it's DeFi compatible with Ethereum. It's proof of stake ASIC token mining that anyone can do from their phone or computer. The user can simply stake their ASIC tokens with just a few clicks of a mouse at pulsebitcoin.app. Stake your ASIC tokens for 30 days to yield Pulse Bitcoin. Unstake to claim your PLSB. You can then restake your ASIC to start another 30-day cycle. You can buy Pulse Bitcoin and ASIC using DeFi at CowSwap or your favorite DEX. Why is Pulse Bitcoin a true DeFi asset? Fair launch. Absolutely no special supply allocation. Supply begins at 0 and only becomes available 30 days after launch, if participants start mining day 1. It's 100% transparent, open source smart contract. It has a code security audit completed by CertiK. No unfair distribution. All Pulse Bitcoin must be mined fairly, defined by the smart contract. No sacrifice phase or ICO. No venture capital or special insider funding taken or received. No purchase tax, sell tax, reflection fees, referral program, or hidden penalties. It is not meant to be a financial security in any capacity. You must have no expectations of monetary gain or profit from this crypto project. If you do, it is by your own work and effort. Pulse Bitcoin has the fastest growing community as it leads the industry in adoption and support, teaching new users about security and providing the fundamentals for being a successful investor.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow, and we can talk about some other fun stuff, especially PulseChain, cover some of that stuff. Tom, do you want to say hello to everyone?
Yeah, sure. Hello. How are you guys?
All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. God bless.